Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2 from the knockout rounds of IEM Katowice 2023, the World Championships. I'm proud... It's Cure, the People's Terran. On the other side of the map, you know him, you probably love him. One of your top 5 Dutch content creators in StarCraft 2, and also the only one who qualified for the World Championships. I give you the captain. It is Harstem. I think a pretty even match here. On paper, I think Cure is a favorite, but Harstem has a particularly stable style that, I mean, Cure's already starting up. He did a hidden barracks. That's what we were enjoying until he so rudely floated away. As it appears, Harstem figured that one out all for himself without any sort of really significant slowdown. So now Cure, who tried to do a cheeky build here in game 1 of the match, is instead the one... Oh my god, the probe damaged the SCV enough so that way Cure isn't even able to finish his command center. Anyways, before we get started, I know this match is dramatic, exciting. I don't know if it's the highest tippy-top level play, and I hope it's not, because it's much more fun that way. And if you like those kind of games, make sure to like this video, subscribe. You can check out Harstem's video on it after. I don't actually know if he went over these matches. I hope not, so that way you can't compare my ineptitude versus his analysis. But we're starting out with the tag team, 2 Marauders escorting 1 Marine across the map. Concussive Shells is done, though a bit of an awkward choice against someone who already knows you have the tech lab. The tech lab wasn't spotted, okay. So, though somewhat implied with this sort of build. I think the Stargate, a strong choice. I've made that clear many times in the past, but the Stargate to kick things off, especially against some sort of relatively low tech. The one weakness of the Stargate is just straight up direct attack. They come right across the map, bunch of units, good luck dealing with it. But otherwise, the Stargate gives you all the vision you need in order to keep track of your opponent. A lot of utility in Stasis War and Revelation, and here, well, the turrets are already up. Harstem's big... what he needs to be focused on is defending the bio push here. The big concern is going to be the Marines and the Marauders walking across the map, and anything aside from that can come later, as that is by far the most dangerous part of the game. They're still just not a factory, just skipping into the triple threat Terran. Stim, combat shield, +1 bio. While +1's going to be a little further out. Stasis, Cure understands the risks, negates them with a single Marine. Not going to be waiting for him. Probe scouting out as well. Harstem, he knows it's coming. We'll be able to stop it. There's several shield batteries. Immortal being chrono boosted out. Oracles confirming indeed that army has moved along. And, well, that's just not that many units here. He might not have +1. The single shield battery, a force field, optimistic, a shield battery overcharge, gone before it really even started. The Immortal pops out, targets down one of the Marauders, and now going up the ramp are the Marines as well. So Harstem, unfortunately, you don't want to just let these kind of guys inside your base. They do a lot of drugs, they have guns. Sounds like my neighbors, but at the same time, 7 probes killed. Well, it's not quite done yet. More Marines at the front, but with combat shield, stim, and soon to be +1. He stims in again. Harstem can't seem to put together enough units to actually deal with this. They're having the run of the place. 11 probes down, and this is really starting to add up. Not a great start. Not an auspicious opening here for the captain. That is the danger of going for those multiple oracles early on. It's just you simply don't really have the resources to defend a full-out attack. That is a dramatic, awkward, but relatively stable start. I'd say Cure got as much as he needed to get done, and maybe just a smidge, a metric smidge more. He got a handful more workers than I think he needed to justify. But surprisingly, Harstem Going to be able to get to a Colossus. Understanding right now that Colossus gives him a lot of staying power. The Immortal helps deal with the Marauders, which are the big threat to the Colossus. And the Colossus can start melting the Marines. If he stims the Marines, that's permanent damage right up until it becomes a lot less permanent with these two medevacs on their way out. But Cure, I think this evens out. Harstem's going to have to be very careful. He still has a bare bones army. Just a handful of gateway units as an escort for those valuable robo ones. Oracle going to keep track of things. They're both kind of poking and prodding. Cure sending out an SCV. It was already revealed here. Just a bunch of bio for now. Oracle comes back in for another revelation, but it isn't going to be much of a revelation to figure out. It's still Marines and Marauders. Vikings on the way. Something to directly deal with the Colossi, and there's not that much anti-air Phoenixes for Harstem, though he hasn't really committed to it. In fact, the only anti-air is 1 sentry. Cure, well, sending out a medevac drop. I thought he might try to get the jump on this. There is +1 air weapons on the way. Is Harstem going for Phoenix Colossus? The Vikings going to be spotted. So that will confirm the need for additional Phoenixes and justify their existence. Already a second Stargate on the way. This is just straight up the tech tree, barely branching out into any sort of gateways. It's just essentially tier 3 tech. And whatever else Harstem can put on the field. He's up to 61 probes. Drop at the back. A single Zealot, a handful of Phoenixes. Not going to be enough. Colossus tiptoes up. It's just Marines. Cure going to try some cute micro against it. I don't think it's going to make the difference. Meanwhile, Guardian Shield at the front. Vikings targeting down a Colossus. Shield battery overcharge. Going to go better than the last one so far. The Vikings still pounding through. The shield's barely staying intact. Disruptor joins the fray. Looking to fire a shot off, but holds on to it for now. You don't want to waste it. As soon as it's used and Cure dodges away, he can dive right back in. He might have too much damage. Harstem at 113 supply. Very tenuous right now. Cure knocking on the door. Harstem so far found an answer. Disruptor shot. Catches a small chunk of the army. Drives the rest back and allows the Phoenixes cover in order to take down the Vikings. Well done, well controlled. A bare bones defense, but very strong bones for however naked they are. As disruptors, Phoenixes. This is a very difficult army to control well. And it requires it's essentially like doing surgery with a sledgehammer. Like, how do you pull that one off? Well, ask Harstem. That's not my job. Because right now he has some of the strongest Protoss units, but he has to be very careful about where he puts them. Otherwise, the Terran army can easily overwhelm. Well, here go the Phoenixes to the other side of the map, correctly realizing that there is no real anti-air with the main army. So Harstem going up the center with his expand as well. I think a smart choice. Not a usual one here, but wants to expand towards his opponent. So that way he can minimize the time between defense and counterattack. Fortunately, not minimal enough, as Cure just guns down the base. I think there was a cancel. Every mineral gonna count for now. How many gateways? 2. Well, that is not remotely enough. As we're gonna... What? Carriers. Carriers? Well, that's where his money's going, I guess. So this is the quote-unquote new patch, where carriers, it makes it a little easier for carriers to be targeted down with Vikings. As one, the Vikings got a slight buff. They're more responsive. Their damage point is lower, which means you can stutter step them more easily. Not higher DPS, just better for those of us that happen to have the APM to micro. So not me, but theoretically. The interceptor threat priority is lower than the carrier itself, which means this can be manipulated, though. Especially with Marines and Ghosts. They will run past some of the interceptors unless they're on hold position and try to target down the carriers. And if the carriers are well protected, well, then you can end up, one, keeping many of your interceptors alive. Oh, he gets the Ghosts. What a dangerous game. An EMP could have ruined everything, but instead, huge pickups there, literally and figuratively for the Dutchman. Flying right now. And another army on the left flank. Ghosts involved, but EMP not going to be enough to drive back these robo units. Slams into the Widow Mines. Base on the right, or whatever makings of it, shut down by Cure, who has yet to see the carriers because the carriers have yet to arrive. Beautiful revelation there. Nails both the mines here. Gets both. EMP, though. Knocks out the energy on that Oracle. Harstem gonna try to hold the line. This heavy tech Protoss fusion core is on the way for Cure, starting to realize. Did he notice? Did he notice the carrier? He's already adding on starports. Cannons in the main. Fortress Protoss right now. As Harstem has no intentions of counterattacking, at least not for a while yet, not until he gets that critical mass. The only thing we're missing is the Templar Archives, potentially for Storm, just to make things more complicated, but it's not like Ghosts aren't going to be helpful against that anyways. Well, 4 command centers, 1 fusion core, plus 1 ship weapons, and 3 infantry weapons for Cure right now. Whereas Harstem, he has +2 in the air. He's got 3 carriers at a time producing. And now we'll see. Does Cure have any chance of actually breaking this on the ground? Looks like he's taking directly to the skies. Only Vikings in production. Harstem's carrier count, 5. And, of course, rising. I think about 8 or 9 carriers is when we get to the point where the ground army just doesn't really matter anymore. And a Mothership! Just to cap things off. Thank you, Harstem. I wasn't sure if I was going to clickbait the carriers, or if I'd have something even better. But, Mothership on the way. Cure flirted with a nuclear missile, but he decides on Ghost Cloak first. Probably a more reliable choice. But I like the idea. I like where your head's at. Disruptor gonna chase some of these units away, but the carriers from above, the disruptors from below. An odd combination of Protoss here, but it comes together and it works out. Drives Cure back. He's now starting to lose more and more. Cure has lost 1,200. Remember, this started with the Mecha Rex Marauder timing. And now here we are. Mothership halfway done. Disruptor count. He's only got 3. Feels like he's just keeping his disruptors in the right spots to keep Cure back. And so far he's doing a lot with a little. I feel like disruptors are one of those units, kind of like that's a spice. Human. All right, that's a fun one. You have too much, it's not great. You have a little, actually I have no idea what it even tastes like. So just 1 dash of it, 1 dash of disruptor, boom, there you go. You got a stew going. At the same time, though, you have like 10 of them. That's too much. It's too many cooks there. It becomes unwieldy to control. It's a lot of your supply. So we see here, well, Harstem kind of losing track of some of the Phoenixes, but now the carriers are actually unleashing their interceptors. Wow, that's a Viking fleet. There's 15 Vikings, 8 carriers, but the Vikings don't have enough to one-shot the carriers. And here come the Phoenixes. Kind of an afterthought here. EMP is being thrown out there. Nuclear missile. It was queued up, now in production. Are there Widow Mines? What? The turret's out on the map. What a game. I'm loving this. 6 more Vikings with the Mothership. Gonna force those scans, but don't worry, it's 7 orbitals. It's not an issue. Disruptor shot goes out, but caught between a rock and a hard place. The Vikings are chasing down. EMP actually landed on many of the carriers. The Viking count is dwindling. The positioning of the Marines and Ghosts is actually working out for Cure, because they're gunning down the interceptors. So Harstem, rebuffed in the initial engagement. He's gonna have to pull out the ring again. And congratulations on getting married, by the way. Unrelated. Or, well... 5 Vikings, 3 Liberators, and 4 Phoenixes. All in the production tab simultaneously. Just a full sky battle here. The ground... Thank you. Nuclear missile on the way. Never mind. Now you time out. Ghost gets knocked over to the side. The Mothership, it drains the entire shield battery on half its shield. Beautiful. Kira is doing a turret push across the map. Amazing. Kira understands how this late game Bronze League Heroes style plays out. Does Harstem have enough to actually deal with the Vikings? He doesn't. Very key, he doesn't have Storm. So he is kind of limited to conventional weaponry, especially in the air. And that is when the static defense, well, not so static at this rate. Yeah, here comes, charging up the intercept. Actually, I do think he wants to take down those rocks, give himself a better opportunity. But here come the Liberators, pushing their way forward. Dealing with the Widow Mines. That one sentry has a lot of weight to carry. It just got popped by the Liberators. But the Mothership trying to do something. Cure showing a surprising adaptability against this style. The Interceptors dwindling to the not even upgraded turrets. The Ghost, though, also great against Interceptors. High-sec auto-tracking building armor. I feel like Harstem kind of stalled out here. Having some real trouble making any progress. He's adding 5 Phoenixes here. But the turrets themselves are going to be difficult to crack. He's got +3 air weapons, but building armor about to negate some of those upgrades. And the Interceptors don't have particularly high damage per attack. They have multiple attacks in each volley as well, which means armor is more effective. And trading 5 or 6 Interceptors per turret is actually more cost-effective for the Terran, and EMP hits everything. Vikings trying to trade out, but the long-range Phoenixes, they got those pulse crystals, and from afar, taking out some of the Vikings as they turn their metaphorical tails. 8 Vikings at a time. Thought about rapid reignition thrusters, canceled it, thought about it again. Here, knows what he's about. Another nuclear missile. The EMP is definitely contributing to this fight, but not quite turning the tides yet. Oh, small bio army, still useful at this stage of the game. Shield battery overcharge, but for what? The base itself might be vulnerable, doesn't want to get anything caught. Cure thinking about it. Harstem suffering on supply here. Really having a tough go of it. Those Interceptors are not cheap. He's down to 48 probes. So the army supply is actually quite high for Harstem. Down goes a command center. Cure with that small bio army. Oh god, Viking Ghost. Just a pure composition here. Throwing some Liberators in to mix things up with the Ghost. With EMP, Disruptor trying to get rid of them, but lands another EMP. Softens those carriers up. Disruptor zoning for now. Nuclear missile defensive. The Mothership died at some point. I think it died in the last major fight. Is Kier going to nuke himself? Because that might be Harstem's best opportunity here. He lets the nuke land for the people. Disruptor's getting caught. Harstem going for the semi-bait. If he can get on the production and whittle down the unit count otherwise. Oh, losing so many probes right now. The Ghosts still intact, but the main base itself under attack here. The Disruptors, just a dash of them, but enough to zone out the Ghosts for now. Interceptors just flung throughout the main. Liberator's looking for an opportunity. Still a few more Ghosts in the main. Here isn't really deciding whether he wants to go back and save his base or kill Harstem's, but he's already done a good job of limiting Harstem's economy. There's plenty of orbitals. They say never base traded Terran. It's because simply their economy is not so much tied. It literally not tied down. You can just float away at almost any point. Carrier. Oh, but the Ghosts take down the carrier. The mass carrier, though. Cure is struggling to build the critical mass of units to actually deal with the carriers. He hasn't whittled down the Interceptor count enough. He doesn't really have the mass Liberator. Widow Mines or occasionally Thors, but not really. The Disruptors have done enough, but at some point it looks like Cure wants to actually take the fight. He's not going for the full-on base trade, which Harstem's making a lot of progress here, and there's almost no production left. Another disruptor shot to zone out. The carriers just swarming all over the planetary fortress. Another disruptor shot. And oh my god, the SCVs. A nuke. A defensive nuke. Wow, that armor on the planetary really helping out here. Even a turret getting in on the action. Is he gonna let the nuke land? Alright, cancels at the last second. It feels like Harstem may actually have the critical mass EMP, but the interceptor count is so damn high. The ghosts finally remember they have cloak. There's no such thing even resembling detection. Harstem was already building observers before Kira remembered his cloaking device. Harstem is broke, though. I think Kira just scanned. He has so many orbitals he can afford to scan like this. So, Harstem actually doesn't have enough money to rebuild interceptors reliably. Problem is, can Kira kill enough interceptors for that to matter? Well, the disruptor's still doing so much. Harstem, this is the sledgehammer surgery here. He's jammed it in, and now he's swinging it around very slowly. But Kira, I think he's bungled. I don't know if at any point you could call him in a lead, but he's not anymore. It looked like the base trades, he'd be able to whittle down the army. And I guess here on this last planetary, there's still a shot. There's still an opportunity. The EMPs are good, not great. Kira he's running out of SCVs, falling back to his turrets. He's relying on Harstem's limited economy. He's literally scanning across the map to see, can you even rebuild these? And the answer is not really, but the disruptors give a little bit of time. It's too much. Harstem does it. He carries the momentum through. What a mess. Oh my god, what a brouhaha of a game. Which, when I first learned that word, I thought it wasn't a real word. It was one of those made-up words. And I still think that. But some guy who made a big book of words, which seems kind of redundant, Mr. Webster said it's a real word. So, I used it in a sentence. Are you proud of me? Well, are you at least proud of Harstem for taking game 1? I believe game. Yeah. The first game. Well, here goes Kira. He knows that weak Terran is built in the main. So, he's going to send out an SCV. Not willing to take the captain on even footing is Kira. But instead, trying to sneak a few of his own boots past. Well... This isn't even that close to the base. Like, is this concussive shell marauder again? Or I don't know what he expects, because he's getting gas. You don't really go Reapers. Harstem's looking around his base with his first probe, but not nearly. You're not going to find this. This is not even that much closer to Harstem's base than Kira's own main. But of course, it's multiple barracks, so definitely something worth hiding. Oh my. Oh, Kira, you sly dog. He's gonna hide this. I don't know if he's hiding it or if he's just... It's convenient because the SCV's already out there with the depot, but... Double tech lab. Oh my. You spicy tech. If it ain't... Well... The real issue was lack of commitment. Okay? Instead of just relying very much on doing damage to the bio, instead we're going to rely on just outright killing him with the bio. Because this is the sort of build that either it wins or you lose. It's very rare that this will even out, though not impossible. Well, Marauder shows up. There's an Adept, which is not the ideal choice. against the Marauders, but the Stalker, well, it depends. The Adept doesn't do nearly as much to the Marauders, but also is less vulnerable to that concussive. Well, the pylon in the back. Here come the probes. Oh, a bit of miss micro out of Cure. The SCV's tanking any amount of shots. Nobody attacks particularly fast in this army. Shield battery about to complete. That pylon gonna go down. Harstem not gonna be supplied by. Does he have enough energy for an overcharge? No, he used his chrono! And does it even matter? Because he's just targeting the back. He's shrugging off the Adept attacks. More probes pulled as Harstem starts to... Yeah, oh my god. He's realizing this is multiple barracks. Wow, the Adept. Deep tissue massage, but not much... Ooh, it's bad. It's really bad. I think it's working. Yeah, now Harstem doesn't have any units, which is not a great counter to 3 Marauders. Wow. 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 Okay. Cure with a well-executed, but sharp, and that's one of those... You feel a little dirty for being... you can't feel good about winning that game. You feel relieved that it's over, but you lost a little respect there. I mean, it's the People's Terran. It's the World Championships. You do whatever it takes to win. And apparently what it takes was a bit of dignity. It worked. And that's one of those, you filthy players who actually play ladder, you can take that one, and about 53% of the time, I bet you'll find some success. So, that's enough to rank up, so. If it works for Cure, it'll probably work for you. That is also why he's called the People's Terran. Because his strategies are usually something that you can at least relate to as a less accomplished player. Not that he's incompetent or not great at the game. It's just he makes a couple more mistakes and relies a little more on those sort of builds than like Maru, for example. Harstem. Yeah, scouring the map. Fair. That's fair. Taking a look around. Doesn't find anything, but another way of determining whether or not your opponent is proxying a Rex, taking a look at the top of that ramp. It looks like... Oh. Indeed. That is a barracks. So now he knows where the barracks is. You're welcome. More pro tips after you press subscribe. I am enjoying this. Like, game what? That was the perfect dude. That is StarCraft. That's why StarCraft is a nightmare for scheduling as well. Both your, for better or worse, there are very few norm esports or esports that have the sort of dynamic range that StarCraft does. Oh, that's awkward. At least it's not as bad as Heart of the Swarm, when the dynamic range was 2 minutes to 3 hours. It's more like 2 minutes to an hour, but you can be done with a best of 7 in 20 minutes. Or a single game could stretch to 45 on a not too infrequent basis. So, that's what I think is one of the best parts. But also, the most stressful parts of StarCraft. That's why it's so hard. Press that rank button. You don't know if you're signing up for 5 minutes of cannon showing up in your base or 30 minutes of trying to pick apart carriers. And neither does Cure, so... Though he tried to hedge his bets in the previous match. 2 Reaper Hellion to start. Going with the TVT-esque heavy tech opener. Harstem defaulting back to the Stargate here. After realizing no super early aggression. 2 Reapers and a Hellion easily deal with an Adept. The Adept, barely within the shield battery, actually cancels the Shade at the last second. And that will allow him to survive. Big save there. Adept on the high ground. Harstem moves back a bit so that Hellion doesn't get too many hits. Grenade bounces it around, but the Adept holds the way for now. 3 Adepts, more than enough to deal with this. And with a Phoenix on the way across, well, things get more interesting. Phoenix just goes straight by, and there's a small chance in Kier's mind that this is a hallucinated one, but as soon as he sees how much damage that Cyclone is doing, that'll be dispelled from his mind. So it will be Phoenixes. How does Kier handle this? It's another scenario similar to the first match where Harstem is going to be relying on these very technical units to keep Kier at bay, where it looks like Kier is lining up an attack. He has no starport, not even challenging the skies right now. But instead, siege tanks and triple racks with stim. So it's just going to be the classics. Marines and tanks. Combat shield, got a probe at the middle. I hear keeping watch. The one concerning thing for Harstem, he has no additional gates besides the one that is natural, no robo. Will he realize what's coming with enough time to actually... the sheer amount of units he's able to build is very low. He only has 3 gates of any variety. 1 Stargate, 2 gates. So, really needs to focus on unit production. Because Kier can come across the map with a deadly army. How much has Harstem... He knows there's a tech lab factory. At least there was. He saw the Cyclone. He saw a handful of Marines. He's building units in the main like there's going to be a drop, maybe of Hellions. I am getting concerned by a slight... well, oh my, the tech voice. Alright, my concern meter just rocketed up to full-blown alarm. As, well, charge is being chrono boosted, but it's a long way off. Essentially the entire upgrade. Harstem canceling shield batteries, building... He needs units, and he knows it. The Phoenix says the economy is irrelevant. Doing anything back at home. There's just no units here. He's got 2 Zealots, 4 Adepts, 6 Phoenixes, and the 6 Phoenixes are on the other side of the ramp. Kira's just marching up, looking to take this series in less time than it took game 1. The bunkers are already pre-setting here. Harstem tries to come down the ramp, but... oh, it's already disastrous. You can get there... the Phoenixes slide in. GG. Oh, it just ends. Oh. Well, unceremonious, a bit anticlimactic, but... Kier clearly not wanting Harstem to get to that later game tech, as Kier clearly not comfortable with dealing with it. A great game from Harstem. Rough to see, but Kier earned his too. And he's going to take the series. What did you think? I had a lot of fun with that one. Especially, mostly, well, Kier combined. Kier was also involved. I love the double racks Marauder. It's so cheeky, so disgusting, so filthy, but like in a fun way. I'll take a shower later, and it'll feel better after that. Kind of, it feels almost as good as liking and subscribing. So thank you guys for watching. Of course, check out Harstem. I wish Kier had a YouTube channel so I can make comments on all his videos and get myself banned on them probably, but either way, thank you guys for watching. I already said that. Check this video out. Jimmy picked out for you. See you next time. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Good luck. Have fun. Stay tuned.